Alright guys, so this is a super special unboxing. I want to say first of all a huge thanks to Robert, who was gracious enough to think about me when he was getting ready to sell this piece because he knew it was something that I had expressed some interest in. Now this particular piece is, if you guys remember me mentioning before in other vintage videos, there was a particular year that I was really interested in getting, and just happy coincidence, it happened to be the exact year of this Bulova that I was smitten with when Robert showed it initially on one of the Facebook groups. Now, this absolute beauty is a 1956 self-winding Bulova, 23 jewel movement. It works incredibly well. Now, I mean, look at the lugs on this piece. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. The dial has kind of like a sunburst design just in the way that the dial is etched. The hour markers are phenomenal. I love the way it has the 2 hour markers and pips at the 12 o'clock position. And you know, the lugs almost make the piece seem like a mischievous piece, which is, you know, one of the things that is incredibly appealing. Here's the thing about a 1956 piece. The reason that I wanted a piece that was from 1956, for those of you that didn't know, is because it's the year that my grandfather decided to officially move our family to the United States from Cuba. Now, he had already been working and traveling from Cuba to New York. He actually worked for the New York Yankees as an accountant, and he worked there for several years. And when he finally decided to move our family, you know, my grandmother said that she would move to the United States, but not to New York, which is how our family ended up in Miami, which is the city that my grandmother wanted to live in. 1956 is essentially the year that we were established in this country. In 1956, these pieces were made in the U.S., and that was the year that my family was made in the US. And so that makes this piece incredibly special for me. And I thought about getting a 1956 Rolex, but it's just not something that my grandfather would have worn. He wasn't a super flashy guy. You know, he worked as an accountant for the Yankees, he worked for Southern Bell after that, but then he dedicated his life to working for the church and giving back to people. He's one of the most generous and caring men that I have ever known. And one of the things that I really had to get used to with this piece is its size. It's a very classic for the time period of 1956, but by modern standards, or even some 70s and 80s pieces, it's small, right? Most of those pieces you're looking at 38 millimeters on some of the what would be considered bigger chronographs and more classic collectible chronographs of the time. But this particular piece is only 31 millimeter diameter and about 40 millimeters lug to lug, with a 16 millimeter lug width. So with that in mind, you know, I was really worried about the dimensions, particularly when I opened it for the first time. Now, one thing that I was able to do, and this was a great suggestion by Robert as well, who I was able to purchase it from, was to get a bunt strap. So that's exactly what I did. I got right on eBay, I got the bunt strap, and I am absolutely in love with it. It helps the piece wear bigger, and it's just, this is going to be one of the cornerstones of my collection that I am incredibly proud of, and it's something that when I wear, I feel that much closer to my grandfather. And that's really part of the romanticism of vintage pieces, is imagining it in that time, what was going on either in our lives or the lives of people that we loved and cared about dearly in that time. Having something that connects us to that is really almost like a time machine. These two different times running parallel, really. I mean, that is what connects you to your past. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about this, and I'd also love to hear if you could pick a year for a vintage piece that meant a lot to you for whatever reason, what year piece you would pick up and why that year is important to you. Alright guys, thank you so much for sharing this with me. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And as always, if this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. That's it for this one. CG out.